Michael Avenatti, the attorney who surged to fame representing an adult actress who claimed former President Donald Trump paid her hush money following an alleged affair, was sentenced to 14 years in prison after admitting to cheating 4 clients, including a paraplegic, out of millions of dollars. Avenatti was already serving a 5-year prison sentence on 2 unrelated convictions in Manhattan federal court. Monday's sentence by a U.S. district judge in California included an order he paid $10.8 million in restitution to the clients and the Internal Revenue Service. Avenatti, who is not a criminal lawyer but represented himself, in a court filing had asked for 1 additional year in prison, or 6 years overall. The imprisoned lawyer had once publicly hinted at a run for the presidency when he represented porn star Stormy Daniels in her bid to ditch a confidentiality agreement, barring her from discussing what she said was a sexual affair with Trump. Trump has denied having a relationship with the performer, but the celebrity lawyer soon found himself on trial. Avenatti was convicted in 2020 for trying to extort up to $25 million from Nike, and in February for embezzling nearly $300,000 in book proceeds from Daniels. Avenatti had faced 36 charges in California. A trial on 10 of them ended in an August 2021 mistrial.
Soccer legend Pele has not been moved to intensive care. That's according to his family, who denied rumors that the star was in end-of-life care as he was hospitalized a week earlier as he battles colon cancer. One of the greatest soccer players of all time and the winner of 3 World Cups. Pele played for Brazil and Club Santos and New York Cosmos as a striker. He had a tumor removed from his colon in September 2021 and has been receiving hospital care regularly. Pele's daughter told Brazil's TV Global on Sunday that while Pele is feeling fragile from chemotherapy, they don't want fans to think he's dying.
He is sick, he is old, but at the moment he's being treated for a respiratory infection, and when he gets better, he will be back home.
The tower outside the Khalifa International Stadium at the World Cup in Doha lit up on Saturday with get well messages for Pele. Some of his fans gathered outside Albert Einstein Hospital in Sao Paulo, where he's receiving care from. Longtime fan Ciro Santos wishes Pele a speedy recovery.
The expectation is that he will be fine. We know that it is a somewhat delicate situation. So the least that we can do as Santos supporters is to pay tribute to him so that he recovers and know that we are here supporting him as he always did.
Medical staff at the hospital said Pele was in stable condition and had responded well to treatment.
A runoff Senate election in Georgia on Tuesday will determine whether Democrats are able to defend the hard-fought seat they flipped just 2 years ago, or if Republicans can win it back.
Call your father and your mother, your sister and your brother. Call Lottie, Dottie, and everybody. Tell them it's time to vote.
Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock spoke to students at Georgia Institute of Technology Monday, one of many campaign stops in the Atlanta area, while Republican challenger Herschel Walker greeted voters in several North Georgia cities. The high-stakes election in the battleground state was the most expensive in 2022. Campaign finance data shows total spending near $400 million. Neither Warnock nor Walker secured more than 50% of the vote in November, sending the contest toward a runoff. If Democrats can eke out a win here, that would give the party an outright majority of 51 seats in the upper chamber and sway over committees and judicial appointments. But a win by Walker, a former football star, would better position Republicans to block parts of President Joe Biden's agenda. Warnock, a Baptist pastor, got help last week from singer Stevie Wonder and former President Barack Obama, who sought to paint Walker as unfit for office in a speech that went viral.
Since the last time I was here, Mr. Walker has been talking about issues that are of great importance to the people of Georgia, like whether it's better to be a vampire or a werewolf. This is a debate that I must confess I once had myself when I was 7.
Walker appeared at a campaign rally with Republican Governor Brian Kemp And while he was endorsed by Donald Trump, the former president has not appeared with Walker after several Republicans warned his presence could turn off moderates, including in the crucial suburbs.
He's got morals, he's got stands for the freedom of rights and also for the preborn baby. He's standing for against abortions.
Walker's campaign has been plagued by accusations that he abused girlfriends in the past and paid for their abortions, undercutting his anti-abortion stance. According to the Secretary of State's office, more than 1.85 million Georgians had already cast a ballot during the early voting period.
The U.S. Supreme Court's conservative majority on Monday signaled sympathy toward evangelical Christian web designer Lorie Smith, who refuses to design wedding websites for same-sex marriages. Smith is fighting for an exemption from a state law that bars discrimination based on sexual orientation after lower courts ruled against her. Outside the courthouse, the Denver area business owner claimed that Colorado's anti-discrimination law violated her right to free speech.
Colorado is trying to force me to create custom, unique artwork to promote ideas inconsistent with my faith and the core of who I am.
Colorado's Attorney General Phil Weiser said Smith was essentially seeking a license to discriminate.
We are very concerned that if our side loses in this case, the court would open up an exemption that would make possible all sorts of professions, photographers, people make cakes, others who write books, to say, I'm not going to sell to someone based on who they are. The court has never recognized that exception, and to do so would threaten the core of our civil rights laws.
During oral arguments, conservative Justice Amy Coney Barrett indicated support for Lorie Smith's stance.
You're on your strongest ground when you're talking about her sitting down and designing and coming up with the graphics to customize them for the couple.
But the three liberal justices leaned toward Colorado's argument. In one exchange with the lawyer representing Smith, liberal Justice Sonia Sotomayor said a ruling favoring her would allow a business open to the general public to refuse to serve a customer based on race, sex, religion, or sexual orientation.
What's the difference between that and I don't believe black people and white people should get married?
What matters is what the objection is that the speaker is being asked to create, and whether the objection is...
But if I just, that's my objection. I don't believe they should be telling their story.
If you don't believe they should be telling their story, and what they're asking you to do is tell their story, then you don't have to do that.
So it doesn't really, there is no line on race, there is no line on disability, ethnicity, none of the protected categories.
That's
in a public accommodation law.
Public accommodations laws exist in many states, banning discrimination in areas such as housing, hotels, retail businesses, restaurants, and educational institutions. Smith's lawyers depicted the case as a fight against government-compelled speech, describing their client as an artist making a custom creation rather than merely offering a service. A ruling is expected by the end of June.
U.S. stocks ended lower on Monday as investors were spooked by better-than-expected data from the services sector and reevaluated whether the Federal Reserve could hike interest rates for longer than expected. The Dow fell 1.4%, the S&P lost nearly 1.8%, and the Nasdaq dropped more than 1.9%. Data showed activity in the U.S. services industry unexpectedly picked up in November, with employment rebounding, offering more evidence of underlying momentum in the economy, not what the Fed wants when it's trying to slow the economy in order to cool inflation. Anna Rathbun is Chief Investment Officer at CBIZ Investment Advisory Services.
Those data include better-than-expected factory orders, durable goods, and in particular, the ISM Service Index came in very strong. And in the Service Index, we had details like sticky prices on the prices paid side and very strong employment sub-index, the two very things that go against the Fed pivot narrative. And this is really interesting because the Fed, well, Chairman Powell was very hawkish last week, and the markets actually didn't interpret it that way. They were cherry picking the 50 basis point signal, and markets went up. Well, today it's a little bit more sober.
As for individual movers, Tesla slumped 6.4% on plans to cut December output of the Model Y at its Shanghai plant by more than 20% from the previous month. And apparel maker VF Corp dropped 11.2%, its largest one-day decline since March 2020, after announcing the sudden retirement of its CEO. The firm, which owns names including outdoor wear brand The North Face and sneaker maker Vans, also cut its full-year sales and profit forecasts, blaming weaker than anticipated consumer demand.